These are stories about my reluctant and courageous journey into understanding my emotions and what I learned. I'm super grateful for the questions you ask because they are guiding me in this fantastic adventure. This week's topic comes from Rami, who wanted to know how to surrender, which means I decided this week's topic is about why I surrendered when I wanted to feel powerful. In the previous video, I talked about how I got through a time when I thought I needed to be in control. In this video, I'll talk about when I started to realize that surrendering was helpful. In the next video, I'll focus on the time when I used serenity when things got tough. In the next video, we'll meditate, and in the last video, the Fridity, which is also called the Friday Ditty, I'll bring it all together, get a little more poetic and a little bit nerdy to make sense of the journey. All the videos will appear in the playlist Why I Surrendered When I Wanted to Feel Powerful. So, if you have a question like Rami did, comment below or DM me on Instagram. I'm Angela, and this is me making sense of myself. The question I'm going to start off with today is, how did it feel trying to control life? And when did you realize surrender was important? Well, in the last video, I really got into that tension and control that happens when I'm trying to control outcomes or other people or protect people. Like, there are all these great things that come from wanting to control, and it also creates a certain amount of tension because on some level control does not exist. So I remember, when did I realize this though? Like, realizing that surrender was important, I think it was during one of the biggest challenges of my life. I mean, there was so much going on. And I felt like I was at the bottom of a crevice, which, getting out of a crevice is extremely difficult, and usually people die. So that's where I was. I think maybe on some level, it's like, maybe on some level there was a little bit of a death of self in a way, so that I could surrender. Like, I had to let go of this idea that if I could just do everything the right way, then it will turn out the way I think it should turn out. And I literally had to let go of that idea, and I think in some ways mourn that that was a misbelief, that was not true. I could not control things enough to make them turn out the way I think they should. Which reminds me of, I think it's in physics, there's this thing called a three-body problem. And anytime you have more than three things, chaos can be, or when you have more than two, so three, chaos can ensue. And so I like to remind myself of that today. Like, I really don't know. There are so many different factors in this world that I can't possibly know what the outcome is going to be. There's even a really great quote. I want to say it was the guy who started Visa, and it went something like, the only outcome you can expect are the unexpected ones, or the only results. Bottom line is like, the only thing you can depend on is that there will be unexpected consequences to the steps that you take or to the things that you're doing. And I think that's hard to think about on a regular basis, which I think is why finding serenity is difficult. And it actually does take some effort. I think that I'm trying to think of how I started to find serenity when things were hard. And I think it might be when I first started meditating. And I have chronic pain, as most of you know, and I had been told to meditate. But every time I meditated, all I could hear was my pain, which is I think that is not, can also be metaphorical, right? So I have physical pain, therefore when I meditate, like, that pain becomes gigantic, right? This is at the beginning. And so I went back and I told the counselor that I was working with, I can't, when I meditate, my pain becomes so intense that it's hard. That's all I hear, that's all I see. And they said, well, that's actually part of the process. It will seem like it's getting worse. And I was like, okay. And I had to trust that this person was giving me true feedback. But I want to point out that it's also the same when things are hard, when relational things are hard. You see, pain is processed through the same part of the brain, whether it's physical or emotional. So it would make sense if when we start to meditate, that our bodies do the same thing regardless of the pain, that those things are going to get bigger. Now, I had to surrender to the experience of seeing those thoughts and letting them go. Like, just because this pain came up, I didn't have to follow the thought. It's really easy with chronic pain to stay in the experience. And if you talk to or follow some mystics, you'll hear that pain is just a memory of the past. And in this moment, that may not be true, but it's like any pain is a memory. So in this moment, am I feeling pain? It's only the memory that comes up afterwards. And that seems really, I don't know that I'm explaining that or articulating that in such a way that it will make sense to you. But I could, like, when I have this pain, if I can get into the present moment and let it exist instead of fighting against it and making it wrong, it actually becomes easier to tolerate. So, in a sense, on a daily basis, I'm surrendering, and many times, a lot of times throughout the day, I'm surrendering to the experience of that pain and what it's trying to tell me, instead of deciding that it's wrong. Because as soon as I decide it's wrong, then I start fighting against it. And that also works in my relationships too with people. So I know that in my next video, I'm going to be talking about how I do that in the moment, the surrendering. In the meantime, I would love to hear from you. How helpful was it for you to surrender to a process or to an experience? These videos will be located in the playlist, Why I Surrendered When I Wanted to Feel Powerful. I'm Angela, and this is me making sense of myself.